Hello, and welcome to Michell Consulting's webinar series for our Michell University. Today we're going to be working with Infor FACTS, and we're going to be reviewing the sales order process. This webinar is being recorded. It'll be available on our website, so you can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this, plus our other webinars in our training series. For purposes of the demo today, we're going to be working with Infor FACTS version 7.7 as our demo. So let's begin. Let's talk about the sales order process. So what we're going to do is on our main menu, we're going to click on Sales Order. And you can see here we have quotes, which we covered in a previous session. You can view that on our website. So we're going to talk about the order entry. So we're going to click on Orders. And what this allows us to do is enter the information in the system, an order from a customer. What this will do is it'll affect the quantity from the standpoint of committing the inventory. It won't affect the quantity on hand. It won't affect any general ledger or any historical. It's just an order. The advantage of that is all the information can be entered. It could be stored. It could be retrieved at a previous date when the order is ready to be turned into an invoice. While the order is entered, it will actually commit the inventory. It'll still be on hand. So you'll actually have quantity on hand minus committed, and that will be your available inventory to sell. And then eventually that order can be taken into, with order confirmation, through the invoicing process will be turned to an invoice. So let's begin. Let's look here at order entry. So we're going to open up our screen. And you can see here, again, our screen. So as we know from working with FACTS, we can use the icons up here. So we can actually add a new customer. We can search our customers to call up a customer that we want to do an order to, and we can also look at documents. We also have the function keys down here, so we can do F1 to add, we can do F2 for the search, and F3 for the document search. So again, we can go here, we can search. We're going to go ahead and do our search, and as we know from working with the navigation of FACTS, we can customize this search. Right now we're sorting by the customer. Okay, but we can actually change this to sort by other information. We're just going to go ahead and select the customer. Okay, and then here we're going to go ahead and enter the customer. You can see that the ship to information is defaulting from the customer. Again, we can change this. We can search. For example, this customer has multiple ship tos, so we can select the ship to, or let it just default to the current ship to. We can also go here and do a temporary ship to, and we can modify that as well. You can see the initiating warehouse. We're working with warehouse 1. You can see also that by default we have this little customer balance popped up when we enter our customer. Again, we can look at the balance, the credit limits, last sales date, and information about the customer. We can also see here we can have our order date. For today, for purposes, we're using January 2nd as our order date. We can also put a requested date. Here we're just going to have it as soon as possible. We can actually put a requested date for this information. Again, we have reference, our ship vias. And we can also look at contact. Contact, this is part of the relationship management screen, that what I can do is I can go in here and do relationship management. I can define multiple contacts for this business partner. This customer right now, we have this one here. So again, you can see all the information coming up for that contact. And again, we can modify this screen here. We have a webinar on that, on how to set up the options within the screen. But right now, you can also see here that we can do a couple things. We can go to view, and right now we're saying that we're going to view the customer display, which you saw. We're going to look at the price options and the warehouse quantity. So these windows will pop up as we're working. We can also do various information about this customer. We can look at an aging. Maybe we're about ready to enter an order, and you can see how he was on credit hold. We want to look at something. We want to look at any disputed invoices. We can also view quotes, if there's any quotes. You see we have all these quotes out here for this customer. So we can look at these particular quotes if we wanted to. And again, as we go through, we can have different things opening up here once we get into the line items. We have some options. Okay, we can actually do a lost sales entry. Let's say the customer wants to purchase an item. We don't have it in stock, so he decides not to place the order. So we can consider that a lost sale, so we can enter that information. We can also do our item searches and our customer and all our searches here, which we'll see in a few moments. So here, let's go ahead and enter an item. Again, we can search. Let's just call it this first item. Okay, you can see the windows, what's coming up. Right now we have what's available in the warehouse. So you can see that concept. We have 1,097 available. We have on hand 1,144, and we have the committed of 47. So we have 47 sales orders or possible orders out there for this committed product. Here again is our warehouse. We can choose to change our warehouse if we want. Let's say we want to do this one to the Dallas warehouse. We can actually change the information if we wanted to. We can also set this up for a direct ship. If we do that, what it's going to do is going to prompt a vendor. So we're not really going to affect our inventory. What we're going to do is we're going to go directly from the vendor directly to the customer. And we'll go into that in detail in another webinar dealing with drop ships. Let's just do a simple one here. Let's order 10. Okay, you're going to see here that it's going to commit all 10 because we have enough in stock. If we were to go ahead and say put in this much, you'll see that the available is less than order because we asked for 1,110 and we only have this much. Do you want to accept it anyway? It'll say yes. And what it will do is it will automatically go in and set the information. So it's going to commit what it has available and it's going to back order the 13th. Again, we can't override that. Depending on how we have our system set up, we can allow overcommit if we wanted to as part of the setup, so we can override that. Again, the pricing, you can see here, we have that window, those price option windows set up, and if we saw from the view, we have that set up. So you can see that this customer right now, I know, has a contract price of $150. That's why you can see the amount coming up here. You can see our normal price levels with our breaks. Again, this is the pricing defined for this item. But you can see here that this customer has a contract of $150. And again, you can see the last price and the list price. So it's going to default to $150. So we're just going to leave that. It's also going to ask a question now. Because we do have back order, it's going to want to know if I want to create a suggested PO. So I can do one of three things here. I can create a suggested PO, and what that will do is it won't actually create a purchase order, but it will create a suggestion to order 13 from these. When you see from our other webinars dealing with the purchasing system, when we actually create a purchase order, we can bring these suggestions POs in. We also have the option to create a suggested transfer. In the case we have two warehouses here, we don't have the 13 in stock in this warehouse, but we can transfer it from another warehouse. Or we can simply not create anything. Let's just not create anything, and we're going to continue on. So what our other item, let's just F2. Let's select an item here. And again, you can see that there's some note information coming up on this item. And again, we had that set up for notes to come up. It's available. We can look at it. Again, we can see that we don't have enough on hand. So we have 0 on hand. So we're actually available -7 because we have already committed that. So the same thing, if we enter 1, it's going to give us that prompt. Okay, we're going to go ahead. And again, we're going to see now this, for this item, this customer doesn't have any type of contract pricing. All there is for this item is standard pricing, so he's going to get the standard pricing. I can override this if I wanted to. Again, I can do that. We're going to just say no. We're not going to create this information. And I continue on. And when I press F4, I'm done. I can actually go back into the lines now and look at some information. So I can go to these lines. So for example, let's talk about now what was popping up on the screen. So if we go to View, you can see how that information was coming up, see that price and customer and so on. So now, since we have this item, we can, for example, we can look at item interchanges. So we can see that this item here, 101, you can see here that this item has some interchange information. So if I wanted to replace it with another item, I have that. I can also go to View. I can look at the price search. Again, we can search prices for the item for this particular customer if he bought it before. We can go in and so on. We can look at committed, because remember we showed that there was committed, so we can look at all the orders that are making it committed. Here's my order right there. We can see what makes up that committed, because there was 197 committed. That's our order plus all the other ones that are committed. So we see our total. And again, we can also look at what's on order. We can look at POs. Okay, we can look at, based on purchase order codes, we can look at all the POs. This is useful sometimes because of the situation where I don't have it in stock. So I have a client on the phone, and the customer wants to place an order, and since we don't have it in stock, he wants to know when it's going to come in. So again, you can call this up, and you can look at your POs, and you have your promised dates. This way you can tell the customer, I don't have it in stock now, but it's going to be coming in next week. So you can have this information, again, helps you with the sale. But again, it gives you the information so you can make these decisions as we'll go ahead and entering the order. Again, we saw the options here that we can do the lost sales entry. We can do substitute information. We also have header and line detail information, which we can access from here as well as from down here. For example, when we highlight this line and we go to line detail, what we're just getting is additional information about the item. So you can see the item number I-100. Again, we can see the descriptions. Again, the order, the committed, all the information that we have. We can look at detailed information for shipping. We can also browse warehouses. Again, if we need to pull them from another warehouse. We can look at item notes, if there's any unique item notes related to this. We can also look at the costing sign. So we look at the cost of this item. And again, this can all be set up with security. So obviously you may not want to have some of your order entry people going in and looking at costing information. But again, it's available in the system for you to take a look at. And again, we're just going to say no here because we called the line back up. And so on. We can also go into the header information through here. And again, we can look at detailed information about the header. We can also look at detailed code. So again, just additional information. And the reason why we do this, and you can actually set this up, there's SO options, which we have a webinar on that. SO options determine what's going to go on this first screen here and what's going to go on the detail screens. And again, it just makes it easy on the order entry because, like, for example, reference, we may not use the reference all the time. There's no reason for it to be on this screen. But if you need to do the reference, you can always just go to the header, and then you can enter it in via here. So things like that we can do, things like ship complete and so on, that we don't access every day. We just want a default. But if we had to access it, it's here. So we can have that. So we can continue on. We can, again, we can either go here to add a new line. We can delete the existing line. We can insert a line. So if we want to put something between 1 and 2, because if we add, we're going to go to line 3, but maybe we want to create after line 1 a new line 2. We can click insert. And then what we're doing here, if we pick, let's say, this item, we don't have any in stock. We're just going to let it go back order. Again, you see all our pricing information coming up, and we're not going to suggest the PO. And again, you can see how we can enter that information here. So we inserted that as line 1 on top, so we can do it that way or add. We can also edit the line by either clicking on here. So we can highlight, say, line 3, and we can edit the line this way. Again, we have all our information back up in here. And we can also just double click on the line to get the same results. So we can continue on doing this. When we're done, we're just going to go here to done. Okay, and again, we have our memo. So in this case, we just have a memo. We can't actually take a deposit on the order because you can see here we have a large amount. We can also add freight. So for example, we can, let's say we estimate 250 worth of freight. So we can go here and let's say 250 worth of freight, and let's say 25 worth of handling. And then you can see the information here. And I didn't save that. Let's do it again. Let's click OK. Let's close that. And you can see the 275 worth of freight assigned. We can see our total here. We can take a deposit if we want. So for example, we're going to just go here and do a deposit. And again, we're going to add a deposit. So we can look at our term codes. Again, we can determine what we want. Let's just say we're going to do cash. And let's say we're going to do $1,000. We can save that. And again, here we're working with our drawers because we have our cash register drawer. Let's see if we have that set up. And that we're just prompting here to open the cash register drawer to put the money in. Again, customers exceed his credit limit, so the document's going to go on hold. We also have for the relationship management interface, you can see here that this note is being created. Okay, the sales was generated. This is being created because I'm working with this contact. So in my relationship management, when I look at my notes, I can see that this sales order was generated, and all the information will be here on the system. So again, let's look here. We can, again, continue entering an order. We can also search documents that are already entered. So we can go in and select our document. And we can see here our different documents, the one we did right here. You can see that this document is on hold. We would have to release this document before we can actually invoice it. But again, this is how we can actually enter the orders when we're done. And you can see all the information being created. We have that order. We can also go to the pick ticket print. So we can actually go here to our pick ticket print. Since we didn't print that, we have the option of printing, reprinting, or both. Again, we can use a cutoff date. So here we can enter specific documents, or we can search. So we're going to grab that document we just created. Which was right here. Here's our document, 1926. Okay, the document is on hold, so we can't actually use that document. We have to release that from hold. So we would have to go in and release the document from hold, but we can also use that to print here. We have our bill of lading print, and we can look at our order review. So let's go into our order review, and let's look at all hold documents. Okay, so you can see that this is on hold. So here's where we release it. Again, that order we entered, they went over, they're on hold, on their credit hold. So because of that, it allowed us to enter the order, make changes to the order, but it didn't allow us to print the order or go any further with the order. So now we're going to have to release it from hold. So again, I went into my order review. I looked for all documents hold. I can highlight this one, which is 1926. I can now release the document. So it's add and ready to print file, so we can add it to the print reprint file. We can click done. So now we go in and take a look. We do not see it on hold anymore. And again, we have our different options here, the different types of hold. So we're looking at all documents on hold and so on. So if we look at documents not on hold, we will now see it here in the system. So now we can go back. We can go to pick ticket print. And here we can go in and put in a 001926, and now we have access to it. Let's just change the print options. And again, we can see the pick ticket. We look at our committed quantities, our committed backorder quantities. Now we had some committed, so we can actually look at this. Because of that information, we can go here and we can include sales orders, We can actually do our search. So let's go in and let's look at, let's do a first to last. So again, we have all the information available for this committed. We can do it by warehouse. We can actually do a date range of committed. We can look at the different document types. Let's say we only want back orders. Status, we can look at, again, documents that are not yet printed, and the information here. Let's just go to our print options. We're going to set that to print the file so we can see it on the screen. And we're going to click OK. We don't have anything to print. Let's do another selection. Let's do all. And again, we're looking at all the information here. And again, we can see here that order. So again, we have all the information here and so on. So we can also do blanket sales orders. Again, this is one we'll look at we'll just talk briefly about it. We do another webinar on this, but blanket sales orders allow us to create an order with several items on it, and then we can release them so and so as we go along. So let's say we're doing maybe a construction project, and we have a customer that's going to order 100 items a month for the next year. So we can create that order with 1,200. And then what we can do is we can actually go in once a month and we can release 100 of these and create sales orders and have those go through the flow. So we have a nice way of linking everything together. And we'll cover that in a detailed webinar series for the blanket orders. So again, to recap, that's the sales order entry system in Infor FACTS. You can see here under orders, we can create order entry. Allows us to enter information about the order, items, and so on. It doesn't affect the inventory as far as reducing the quantity on hand. It doesn't affect the general ledger nor history. What it does is just commits the items. We can then print those as we need to. We can review those, and then eventually those orders, after they're printed, they would be invoiced to the invoicing system. So that concludes today's webinar on Infor FACTS sales order process. Once again, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be available on our website, so you can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this. And we thank you for your time.